always has to be a shot at somebody.
No.
They're never clean.
They have to run. That's the only shot they have.
They do it for 82 games. We're about to find out.
He already has shown what he's capable of.
Did surprise me. I thought we were going to hang in there.
This makes me think that we do need to be humble.
I actually think you're the only one who deserved that.
That's a new one.
Oh, man. This is
I
a
like
new
that
type of
on it.
loss, Bobby, too.
Is it?
Celtics fall. Yeah, there it is.
We got all the sound effects.
98-96 to the Pacers in Indy. No Jaylen Brown tonight. Obviously, that played a huge role in this one.
Why is this a new type of loss?
Because I feel like they've showed up in these situations in the past, Bobby, where, you know, Brown sits or White sits and, you know, the Celtics have that player or two that steps up in a situation where they get that opportunity. Baylor Scheierman gets the start tonight for Boston. I want to say 0 points. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's 0 points for Scheierman. And, I'm sorry, 2 points. He snuck 2 in there.
Oh, he had the free throws. Yeah, he was 0 for 3.
20 minutes, 2 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field. You know, you got 15 from Simons off the bench, but after that, slim pickings for Boston without Brown. Obviously, you know, Minot's been out for a bit there. Hauser in the starting lineup tonight, 8 points for him and you know, 2 of 7 from 3. We're going to start at the end, Bobby. Did you like the shot from Derrick White there? Celtics climbed back into this when they were down. Were they down about, I think, 4 in the last? You're muted. You muted yourself for some reason. So
They were down at their most in this one by 13.
I know they were down. Yeah, I know they were down by double digits, but late in the fourth there, you had Derrick White drive to the rim, get 2 there, bring the Celtics. You know, the Celtics end up tying this thing up, and then make the
5
stop.
with 2:41 to go.
5. Okay, it was 5. And then Siakam does Siakam things, man. I mean, that guy can score from all over. He's been doing it for a long, long time. I loved that move when the Pacers acquired him, and he was a huge part of their run last year, all the way to the finals. And
Even 2 years ago when they gave the Celtics hell.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's having a pretty damn good year this year too. I mean, again, it's in Indy on a lost season for sure. But you know, he's averaging 23.6, 6.8 rebounds, putting together a you know, all-star type of a season here. And makes a nice move in the paint, gets a little floater off the backboard to give Indy the 2-point lead with 6.8 seconds left. Boston gets an opportunity off that inbounds there after Indy fouls and gives them about 5 seconds, you'd say, to come up with something. And I didn't like it, Bobby. I want to get your opinion though.
Yeah, so Derrick does that a lot. He'll split between 2 defenders around a screen and try to use that open space where there's some indecision from the defense to get his shot off. And it was a long 3. It was a difficult shot. I'll give him this. He makes them. You know, he makes those quite often, actually. You know, good shooter. You always have faith in him, especially in a fourth quarter clutch situation with what he's done this year. It's not a bad look. But down 2, last shot of the game. Not enough time left to get a rebound there necessarily. I think that's a factor you got to take into consideration too. The amount of time left there, you could draw up something more complicated. I know Celtics mantra is always just get a shot off, and
getting a lot of criticism
Jimmy,
in the comments from on Derrick White right now. Bobby saying he's not the reliable shooter that he's been. Do you agree?
That's what I was going to get to. Is with the game Peyton Pritchard had, I want to see him get another chance there. And I know obviously he got blocked going downhill on the play before, but he was outstanding, making all the right plays, seemed to have a feel for how things were going late in the game. I'm sure this was a matchup thing. I'm sure that they were going after a certain guy there that they thought they could create some leverage on in that situation. But I did not love that shot from Derrick. I love the way they set up the 2-for-1. You know, I love the first shot on the side of those 2 possessions there, the Derrick shot that tied this one before Siakam hit his game winner, as it was eventually there. Yeah, good play, you know, and a tough basket over Nesmith. So White scored there, I guess you could say, and you know, maybe you want to go back to him right after that. Couldn't get it downhill. Maybe he wasn't even looking to there. you're always having that debate, Jimmy, right? Do you go for the tie? Do you go for the win in those situations? I think in a tie game, there's a better case for going for the win. When you're down 2, you probably want to try to create a shot that can tie this thing at the very least.
That's my criticism too. I thought that, they're coming out of a timeout. I think they probably knew they were getting fouled, right? I mean, the pin Indy had one to give. What's your backup play, or what's your initial play, assuming that you knew that was going to happen. And yeah, listen, Derrick White's Derrick White. You always seem, I say always, but in most cases, you're happy with the ball in his hands. But to your point, Bobby, Peyton Pritchard was the guy that they were kind of leaning on tonight and seemed to be most engaged in this one. And I'll throw up the Peyton Pritchard lower third here. 23 on 10 of 22 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. Again, 8 assists, 2 steals. So an all-around game from Pritchard. It looked like he was looking for it. It looked like there was a potential that they could have gotten him the ball in that situation. I know that there was a little pick and roll action there, and it just didn't feel like White even really looked for anybody, right? I mean, it kind of felt like that was going to be the shot as soon as the ball got into his hands, and a bit off. I'm not going to call it off balance, but certainly contested, deep, and if it goes in, we're all talking about how clutch Derrick White is. But I just think in that situation against this Pacers team, you could work to get a little something better. Maybe something. Again, you didn't need a 3 there. You were down 2, try to force overtime, get a little bit of momentum heading into overtime if you tie it up. I would have liked something with a little bit more creativity involved. So nonetheless, Celtics dropped this one. That's 2 straight losses for them now. 2 straight losses for them now, Bobby. 2 straight losses where they failed to score 100. And I know Jaylen Brown wasn't in there tonight, but we've seen them figure out ways to score with him out of the game, whether he's on the bench, whether he's missing time. They've won without him. So I don't want to say that's the only excuse. But I will say going into the year, this is exactly kind of what I thought this team would look like if either Brown or White was out. They'd fail to score. They could potentially lose to any team in the league, and you lost to a team that's, again, the Pacers are on a 3-game winning streak, so they've got a little bit of momentum here, but I think we can all agree they've been, one of the worst teams in the league this year, obviously with Halliburton out for the season. They've sort of taken a different approach than this Boston Celtics team, as you can see by both teams' records here. And I think the Pacers feel like they're going to retool pretty quickly and contend next season with presumably a top draft pick and Halliburton back into the lineup. So 2 teams kind of going in different directions, at least this season. But tonight they met, on much more of an even playing field with Brown out as well. And it just felt like Boston couldn't really get it going enough offensively, at least for enough consistency. Scoring droughts throughout the game, 5 minutes here, 6 minutes there. And again, other than Pritchard, you didn't really have much to look at. And take a look at the starting lineup. Hauser, still not Hauser, right? You've got Shireman, who got the spot start tonight. Congrats to him. Noah's going to come on here, and she was all smiles when they announced that before the game. But it gives you 20 minutes, and it gives you really nothing offensively. Pritchard we talked about, White we talked about, and then you go to the bench, and Simons is really your bench offense. He has been for quite some time, and he gives you 15 tonight. Couple of 3, at least one that I recall that was really nice. 2 threes tonight. So again, 2 of 7 from the field. There's just not enough sometimes with this roster, Bobby, and this felt like this was one of those games.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they were struggling to find the right mix for a lot of this game. They found it late. I like the group with Simons, Pritchard, Ugo, Walsh, and Garza in the 4th quarter at the beginning where they went on their run. That was a solid look there and got them back into the game. A nice 9-2 swing there in the final quarter. Pritchard led. And I think, again, I would have wanted to see Pritchard lead them down the stretch here. I would have liked to have seen more Simons involvement, given the night that he had here. I probably wanted to see a little more Garza late too. And I'm, getting on that Garza bandwagon, Jimmy. And as much as I do love Cade and some of the stuff that he's done this year, and this was a solid game for him, Garza at times in this one was a game changer. And I think he probably would have been the right choice for the late game situation. I mean, I know people have some problem with the defense, and sure, in certain situations you do get burnt by having him out there, but I think he's come a long way with that. I think he's a good rebounding presence for the team too at the moment. So, that's going to continue to be a trade-off for those two. Obviously, you mentioned the Shireman start. Didn't get out of it what you wanted there. Hauser coming back from the injury definitely wasn't at his best, but I don't think he was bad. And then, I thought White wasn't White in this game, certainly.
Let me you mentioned Shireman. Were you surprised to see him get the start? I mean, why Shireman? Why not somebody that started already?
I think you give him that nod for the fourth quarter in the last.
Is that what we're doing
game.
now? We're just like rewarding guys for playing basketball. We're just with the starting spot, or are they still
to some degree?
Are they still trying to figure out, who's the best fit for the starters? And
Well, that's the debate.
Without Brown, obviously, you're not getting a true fit regardless. But it still feels like they're searching.
That's the debate we're going to have probably throughout the week here as they try to figure this thing out. And I'm sure Jalen will be back for the Heat game. This probably was just a rest night, management night here, but they did have a tough decision. I probably would have went Walsh back in there, and I've been saying that for a little while.
For Walsh.
Yeah, I've been saying for a little while. I want to see him back in the mix. This was a good game for him too, wasn't it? Didn't it feel like he started to play like himself again in this game? There were a couple of moments where
he looked a little bit more like himself. Yes. But
yeah.
When you
It was
look
a
at
step
the
in the right
production
direction.
side of it, it's still not. Yeah, I mean, 9 boards, obviously active out there and doing Walsh things.
Yeah.
But I think different games call for, like, you know what I mean? Like, the game called for somebody to step up more offensively, right? And it just felt like whether it was Walsh, whether it was Hauser, Shireman, Gonzalez, go down the line, nobody was able to sort of answer that bell.
So if no one was able to answer the bell, it's tough to complain about the rotations. I do think there were a couple of guys who gave you some stuff that you probably wanted to lean into more a little bit in this one. And, I'm not making the push for Garza to, supplant Kata here. I think Kata's been outstanding for a lot of the year, but there has been more trade-off in that dynamic over the last couple of weeks here. Walsh, again, I think when you look by and large at that wing spot throughout this year, he's been the best guy by far when it comes to that fifth starting spot, giving you some offense in there, giving you consistency more than anyone else at that starting spot. And really, again, I don't think did a lot to lose that job. He was sick, had a couple of rough games trying to get back into the mix, got buried, fell behind Ugo, who I think has been okay recently. You haven't seen Ugo at his best recently either.
No, yeah, that's the thing. You're not getting the
and Shireman, to your point, Jimmy, has not supplanted anybody with one game.
No, of course not. I think Joe's still just looking for things, and Shireman played well enough in people's eyes, apparently in Joe's eyes, to get the spot start tonight, and that's all it was a spot start. I still think Walsh gives you more overall. I still think Walsh is somebody that I think at this point, I guess, rely on a little bit more than Shireman. Not as to say Shireman hasn't been playing well as of late in the opportunities that he's been given. I just think, when you multiply that role, right, or when you expand that role into a starting spot or into, double the minutes, you start to see some of the shortcomings with some of these players. And I think Shireman's one of them here. And again, I don't want to trash the guy. I'll wait for Noah to come on and she might see it a little bit differently. But it's just going back to, and I was probably harsh a couple games ago when I said I still look at this roster and I see like 8 NBA players on it. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that I don't think you're capable of being in the NBA, but I wonder, on a team that's, built to win, built to be a title contending team or built to make a deep run here, how many of these guys are actually in rotation?
A lot of White anger in the chat.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And we'll get to White. We'll definitely get to White, because I mean he was the guy tonight, right? With Brown out, you're looking for White to obviously take into that alpha role, and it just didn't happen. But I wanted to just finish my thought on the reserves, because that's the reserves. Listen,
they're the ones killing you.
Reserves are they've been killing you lately, but they're also the reason why you have the wins that
I was saying that on our stand-up after the last game, Jimmy, that, what defined this team early in the year? Jalen was great, right? White came around after a slow start. Pritchard's had his moments. but it was those Walsh, Minot earlier in the
Yes.
year,
You're
Cada
getting, like,
contributions that
outrageous
define this
games.
team.
Right.
Yeah.
And even Jaylen Brown kind of said it last game, amongst his other things, is, we've been playing above our expectations. I think a lot of people feel that way about a number of these players. So in the back of your mind, you're wondering, is this who they, and I've said this in the show, is this who they are? Or is this, more of an anomaly, a hot start, or, Joe's a little bit ahead of the game here and the opponents are going to catch up to them. What is it? Are these guys all tapped into this new level of their ability here in Boston at the same time, or is it going to fluctuate up and down a little bit? So now it seems like we're fluctuating on the downside for some of these players. And again, just going down the roster here. So that's got to be one of the concerns going into this. I'm not going to play panic meter tonight, Bobby. I'm not going to do it because Jaylen Brown wasn't in the game, right? So I want to see this team, how they respond later this week with more of a healthy roster. But you're on a 2-game losing streak now. You had a chance to win against the Spurs, albeit a great team out west, but you had them. You were leading most of that game or at the end of each quarter. And, down the stretch in crunch time, the opponent came through. And what happened tonight? Boston clawed back into it, but you had crunch time minutes here. And you could call it, if you want, you can call it a lack of execution in a way. If you don't like how that last play was drawn up or how Boston, defended on Siakam's game-winning shot there. You're looking at a couple of games here where in crunch time and in clutch moments, Boston fell short. So it's a different. That's why I said it's a different kind of. It's starting to feel a little bit different. Like the loss. This wasn't a game that they lose. A month ago. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm seeing our Noa Dalzell tweeting right now that Joe's post-game press conference was just him saying illegal screen over and over again.
What?
So Joe handled this loss well.
Is Noa there?
I don't know. I guess she's watching on. Oh yeah, NBC Sports Boston. She said. So I guess they played it on the.
Noah, get on our damn show. What the F is going on over there?
What is he talking about?
Illegal screen. He just said illegal screen over and over.
That's what it sounds like. She said NBC Sports Boston just played Joe Mazzulla's entire.
Us. She'll be here in 5 minutes. Damn it, Noah!
I don't know what he's talking about. On the last play, they were on offense on the last play. So what's the Siakam play?
Illegal screen. I don't know what. I'd have what last play?
The White shot. He wouldn't want an illegal screen there, right? So.
No.
I guess he's talking about the.
I'd have to go back and watch that, but obviously we can't do it now. So
Siakam play.
Maybe you know what? Hopefully Noah watched it because she's not on here, so she'll have to break it down for us and figure out why exactly Joe is saying that over and over.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually,
we'll figure that out.
I'm cruising Twitter right now. It looks like he's saying that Siakam actually.
That's what I was thinking, because he wouldn't be asking for a legal screen on the Celtics play. He'd be asking for one on the Pacers.
Right, but it's Siakam himself, though, set the illegal screen. Then he got the ball back after, it looks like, was that Walsh that got caught in it? No.
White. Yeah, I'm watching it right now. And then he got onto White.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I don't know. That's unlike Joe. He's normally not.
Yeah,
I
mean,
okay, I just saw it. So Siakam set a screen.
Right, at the top of the three-point line there.
Line with like his backside, which you can't do. So they did miss an illegal screen on that play.
He didn't do it with his,
he kind of
his backside. He leaned into him.
Yeah, White. That's illegal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't move into the player. You have to sit. You have to stand there. So, you could, if you want to have sour grapes about it, you can have sour. You're right. It is a little bit unique to see Joe say that. And again, unfortunately, we don't have the highlight of the press conference tonight. So I don't know exactly how it went down, but was it an illegal screen? Sure. Did it change the way the Celtics had the chance to tie things up? No. So, the game wasn't over at that point. They had an opportunity. They came up short. I don't know if Joe was still fuming about the screen in the timeout, and that's why they didn't draw anything up, or they didn't draw anything up more creative. But it is what it is. You're not going to go back. I guess. Will we get a report or officiating report, Bobby?
Yeah, they'll do it tomorrow in the afternoon, 4 o'clock.
A lot of good that does, right? I mean, it's not going to change anything. You almost wish they wouldn't half the time.
So I don't know. It's interesting because I'll give Joe a break, I guess, because he doesn't normally do that. So if you wanted to use this situation as a chance to sound off on it, great. But you know what we're going to say, Jimmy? You lost to and trailed big to a 9-31 team.
Yep.
That has won 3 in a row now after losing 13 straight or whatever it was. But that's tough. I don't think that's where you necessarily want to go after a game like that. And, he's not going to kill his own team, Jimmy. That's not his style. We know that's not who he is as a coach at this point. So I think there's some frustration building up generally about the officiating inside those walls. And I think back to the Pistons game earlier in the year, Jimmy, where they got away with it, right? The foul at half court on Cade, where he had the 3 free throws to tie the game and he missed one. Tons of frustration from the Celtics after that play. And, you've seen it at different points in recent weeks. I feel like frustration along the sideline. I think Derrick had a moment recently where he was more frustrated than we'd ever seen him after getting hit hard. We know Jaylen Brown got fined $35,000 today for his comments after last game.
He said to fine him.
Yeah, they did what he said. So this has been building, right? I'm just surprised to hear Joe Mazzulla go down that road. He never talks about refs, Jimmy.
Yeah, and it's
unless he's doing it in like a
I wish you were
way.
I know it makes no sense to send you or Noah to Indy, this season, but I so badly wish that one of you guys
John.
was there for that. I wonder who was there. There couldn't have been that much media there.
I think Gary's on this trip, I want to say. Let's see.
Yeah,
I'll see who's tweeting about it.
But yeah, I mean, I'm seeing other tweets saying the same thing. He just answered illegal screen to every question, which is like,
yeah, it doesn't look like Gary's there.
Both teams played hard. This is Joe's version of both teams played hard. The famous Rasheed Wallace post-game press conference.
Jay there?
Me and Sherrod love to quote once in a while. Both teams played hard, my man. Both teams played hard.
Sherrod does love that one. No one's tweeting from Indy, so I don't know who the hell is there.
Illegal screen, my man. I don't know who's tweeting from Indy either, but I mean, maybe. Apparently, NBC Boston was there to record it, regardless of who's there as a reporter.
We'll go back to it. We'll circle back to it. Noah watched it, so
Noah watched it.
Some reaction to what the tone was, or was he joking? Was he angry?
I just tweeted her. Where are you? The F is this?
That should do it. All right, what else you got, Jimmy? Who else you want to talk about?
Well, do you want to talk about White? It seems like the chat was all up in arms about him tonight.
Yeah, what do you think of his performance overall?
Why do we have a lower third of White? That bothers me. His performance overall, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I'm really locked in on the fourth quarter. His performance overall. I mean, overall, 7 of 21 from the field. Not the efficient Derrick White we've, come to know a little bit here. So what did he end up with? 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. You know what it is? Like
7 of 21.
4 turnovers as well. We just know what Derrick White's capable of. He has those crazy games where he literally just fills every, box score stat that you can think of, and he's just doing it all out there. And I do wonder, Bobby, that, and again, this probably goes for a lot of players, but when there's less talent around you, it really does limit your ability to be the player that has gotten you to this point. And Derrick White has thrived in that third man role, and you might say, oh, well, anybody would. Well, that's not true. There's been a lot of players who have played with Tatum and Brown that haven't succeeded the way Derrick White has been able to, and haven't, elevated their game and really grown into themselves and been able to do all those extra things and all those little things that makes Derrick White the player that I think a lot of people thought Marcus Smart was. Derrick White is actually that player, the winning plays type of guy, the player that's able to make the smart play. A lot of times hit a big shot, when he's sometimes forgotten.
So I was thinking
block the shot, all that stuff. So on a night where he's not able to sort of kind of be the Robin, if you will, he wasn't really able to step up in a way that would turn him into alpha mode.
I actually agree with Duncan here, and I know we got Noah standing by. You want to see him step up to second option, right? Because that's the
Those
kind of
third
player
options
you
don't
them
scale
up
up like that. Unrealistic, and then mad about it. LOL.
to first option.
But Duncan,
right?
how many people think Derrick White is, or thought Derrick White was a quote unquote third option? There was a lot of people, Celtics fans, NBA fans, who were calling Derrick White, a top 25 player, Bobby, in the league, top 30. Maybe top 40.
Yeah, these
whatever.
Conversations always depend on your expectations of him.
Sure,
like if we're saying all-star, you expect it.
A lot of people thought that he was going to be an all-star going into this year. A lot of people, he's talking about a all-defensive player. It's not just like some random third option. This is a guy that I think signed a contract that a lot of people think was one of the best bargain deals. He could have gotten more in the open market. And
is regularly called the most underrated player in the league.
Exactly. So to say he's just a quote unquote third option and we're mad about it because he's not playing like a first, I think that's simplifying it a little bit. Duncan.
Yeah. Let's see what Noah's got on this last
Noah,
shot
thumbs up if you're ready. She's ready. I'll bring her on. Well.
What's up, Noah?
How's it going, guys?
Look who decided to join us.
I had to see what Joe said in his
wrath.
post-game press conference.
Good thing you did, because you're the only one who tweeted about it.
We wouldn't even know.
I kind of feel bad about that. But are there any reporters at the game except for Abby?
Not that I can see.
We were literally just asking that same question.
Because normally I feel bad tweeting stuff like from home because I know it's annoying to the road reporters. But I was like, the people need to know what just happened, and they did show it on NBC Sports.
First of all, I think you made it very clear that you were watching it, on NBC.
Well, I did. That was
you have to feel bad about it. If you said,
but yeah, Abby asked him a bunch of questions,
right?
And he just said illegal screen.
What were the questions?
Screen.
Oh, okay. So to be clear,
sorry
to cut you off. I think I'm on a little delay, but to be clear, it was just Abby's questions over and over. Was this?
It was just Abby.
Oh,
no, it was the press conference, but I'd never heard another voice. It's possible that there's another reporter there that just never spoke.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
college.
If there is, it would just be one Globe reporter, like maybe Adam Himmelsbach is there. But basically, it was just Abby asking him a bunch of questions, and he just kept saying illegal screen, illegal screen, illegal screen. And then NBC cut to the Siakam game winner, where he is moving a little bit on that screen, but it didn't really impact the final shot because Siakam, Derrick recovered and it ended up being guarding him. And you can see Joe was freaking out in the background of that play to the refs to say that it was an illegal screen. But it was just kind of I didn't see it coming because I feel like there have been some egregious missed calls this season, including like the biggest one I think about is the Utah Jazz loss, which that felt like, okay, the refs lost them the game. Jalen got tripped and they didn't call that. That was at home. Like, I still remember that play. This felt like, okay, an illegal screen in the final possession. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of illegal screens in like game situations in the NBA. So it felt kind of random.
We were just saying before you got on, Noah, that Joe doesn't do that. I don't think I've ever heard him do that in a press conference.
Not that. What we do know is that he'll never outright say the officiating sucked today, but he'll do like a shtick like that, like something a little bit less direct. Like, he won't get fined for this. You know what I mean? But the message is clear.
Right. To be honest,
he obviously decided before the presser started that he was just going to say illegal screen to every question. Luckily for him and for the reporters, there were no reporers there.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't get the point of it. Like you said, I don't think it had a major impact on the play. It definitely was an illegal screen, going back and looking at it. But there's so much more to talk about from this game.
Illegal screens are just weird because there are so many illegal screens at every NBA game.
Right.
That it's like a lot of things. Like, there's not.
You're gonna see Bam on Wednesday or Thursday, rather.
Yeah.
So get ready for
Al
more.
Horford said a lot of illegal screens back.
Yeah.
I love a little Al Horford moving screen. So.
But what's interesting though is if Joe is, this is a game after Jaylen Brown went off on the refs, and now you have Joe Mazzulla crying foul, literally, after the game here. So is this kind of like enabling his play? You know, is there
or supporting them?
Yeah, supporting them. Is he enabling them? Is he part of the conspiracy? Noah, should I go get the tinfoil hat again? Because
you can get it.
It appears that Joe Mazzulla is also in belief that you want me to. You just want me to step away from the camera. No, but I mean, I do think there's something there with, you know, the Celtics team clearly, from Mazzulla on down, feels that they are being wronged by the officials. Now, whether or not you think Joe has a case tonight, Jaylen Brown was clearly passionate in what he said. Like you said, Noah, you know, Mazzulla's not going to get fined for doing the both teams played hard thing tonight in his own way. But I think he's making a point that, you know, he's fed up with the calls or lack of calls that are going Boston's way. And I don't want that to overshadow, you know, some of the other problems that we saw tonight. And I want to get into that as well. But obviously, you know, Joe Mazzulla.
Did you guys talk about Sean Grandy's? Sorry.
No, I don't think we have.
Sean Grandy before the game, I think in his like pregame radio interview with Joe said, "I told Jaylen you can't show up one night and get to the free throw line 13 times, then show up the next night and get fouled 0 times. He's got to find a way to get better at that. Jaylen's sitting tonight because of a sore back from all the fouls last game." And so Joe was throwing shots about the officiating before this game, which is just a departure because he was asked about it last game, about the foul disparity. And he said, we got to be better and not foul. Like, he really did not. That's why I didn't see the Jaylen Brown like officiating speech coming, because Joe did not at all signal that. And
so my read on that is Jaylen went out and made that decision to make it an issue, and Joe had to rally behind him. That's typically how Joe operates, right?
Sure, but then do you think this illegal screen thing is a part of that, or is that...
For sure, yeah. I don't think this is him mad about officiating on that play in particular. I think this is him following his players' lead on general frustration.
Yeah. Like saying
that broke the camel's back.
But to take the post-game press conference in a game that Jaylen didn't even play in, and for the first time in his 3.5 years as coach, dodge every question and say illegal screen, that feels like it's his own decision, not
maybe.
That is,
and he has done stuff like that before, like you said, indirectly criticizing the refs through some sort of verbiage that he comes up with there. But this is the most direct we've seen, I think, by far. And you know, I'm sure it's connected to some degree in my mind. You know, you don't have to agree with that necessarily, but I think there's a frustration across the board. Like, I've seen Derrick more frustrated than ever before, Noah, with calls, and other guys I think have had their moments with the refs recently. And you know, we haven't seen as much of it, right? Because that's typically Tatum's thing, Jimmy, right? He's usually the guy in their face and making noise about it. And I said this in our stand-up the other night, Noah, I struggle with it a little bit just because so much of their free throw issues are stylistic. Like, if you are taking a bunch of jump shots as a team, you just aren't going to go to the line much. And I think we can come up with Jaylen's drive numbers, which I valid, and reasons that they should be going more, or plays where they should be going more. I know Jaylen wanted us to pull the tape, and you know, I think I'll go and take a look at these last 2 games here tonight. But I don't know. I struggle with ref conversations because we just see so many plays each night both ways that are so tough to officiate, so tough to call. There's always misplays both directions. And I have no friggin' clue, Jimmy, how to go back and look at who's getting free throws that don't deserve them and who isn't getting enough and all that. Like, it's just all so subjective that I'm rarely going to throw, unless there's an absolutely abysmal play call or number of calls down the stretch of a game, I'm rarely going to go in the ref direction. And this is another night where I just don't feel like, even on that play, there was a substantial impact made by the refs. I actually loved in the third quarter, 0 fouls on either team for the first time this season.
So, this is an interesting, not to belabor the illegal screen point, but this is just an interesting point that you might not have even been talking about, specifically just the last play.
I
didn't notice egregious illegal screening, but it's because I think I'm so used to seeing it. But that could be that.
Right. I mean, it could be.
But you're right.
back
Like
now.
that, this game was not about just free throws.
What was it
No.
about, Noah? What was your big takeaway?
I mean, I think there was a couple of costly stretches where there felt like there were some defensive lapses, some uncharacteristic turnovers, and ultimately in a game, and we've seen them step up with Jaylen Brown out. They were 2-0 going into this game. They won the one game that Derrick White's at. So I had like maybe a lot of confidence, honestly, going into this one. I don't think it's a coincidence that Jaylen is now sat against the Wizards twice, I think. Or no, it was the Wizards, the Raptors, and the Pacers. But they just didn't get enough from the other guys that are stepping up to be kind of the primary options, right? Like Payton had a great stretch. Anthony, I think, kind of did his job. Derrick wasn't as efficient as he needs to be if he's going to be kind of the number one guy, which he was tonight. And then you look at the other guys, like you didn't get Baylor was started. You didn't get an offensive pop from him. You didn't get much from Luka Garza offensively. Like these other guys that potentially could give you 10 or 12. Like at the end of the day, they scored 96 points, right? Like that's the name of the game. You're not going to win a lot of games scoring 96 points in a regular season game. You'll live with that defense for the most part. I want to like fault them for the threes because it does feel like teams are finding grooves offensively from the 3-point line as of late that I'm like, and maybe it's a schematic thing, but at the end of the day, they held them to 98. So that's like it's not terrible. But yeah, that to me, like there was like the costly stretch to the beginning of the third, and there was the stretch in the second quarter where the Pacers got hot, and that's kind of where this game was lost, even though they got back into it.
How'd you think your guy did tonight in the starting lineup?
And
I won't leave you alone on this one. No, I want to see him start at some point too.
I almost tagged you, Jimmy, when the starting lineup was announced. But then I was like, I can't like victory lap a starting lineup announcement.
Oh, I responded to you. Anyway.
Wait, I did tag you?
No, but I saw your tweet and I replied to it like shortly after.
I didn't see that.
Noah's got you muted.
It's okay, yeah. A lot of people don't see
I
my
do,
tweets.
yeah.
It's all good. But on a serious note, though, I mean, were you surprised to see him get the starting nod, or do you think it's something that Joe just wanted to see what he looked like in there? He earned it.
I think. Well, we've talked about it, right? That they are pretty much going with like whoever's played well recently. That person slots into the starting lineup. So with that being the MO so far this season, it only made sense that Baylor got the opportunity. I mean, Ugo got to start the third game of the season in Detroit after playing one NBA game, coming into that Knicks game, late in that game and making an impact against Jalen Brunson. He gets to start in Detroit the next day. So Joe has been very like, that starting lineup spot is up for grabs. And Sam Hauser comes back from one game absence. He secures like that fifth rotation spot. But in Jalen Brown's absence, I mean, who could you have seen there? Maybe Jordan, maybe Ugo. But I like that Joe gave Baylor an opportunity. And again, like I'm never going to freak out that a guy went over 3. Like it's not, that's such a small sample size. But when you're looking across the box score, it's like you just didn't get enough from other players. And I liked the stretch that Payton went on. I almost feel like they could have gone to him more, even though the ball was in his hands quite a bit. But I just felt like he was the one guy that had an advantage and had a good offensive flow. He did take 22 shots.
Yeah. Wait, you talking about?
Yeah. I like Pritchard in this game. I thought this was a game where
he brought them back after that terrible
8 assists, 0 turnovers.
Pritchard was all over the place too. He was going at the bigs. He was, he wasn't scared to, never is, but it always like still somehow surprises me to see him, get creative around some of these big dudes and just somehow get the ball over.
Man, he almost had that big shot late too that who blocked it, Siakam. That was a good look inside.
I wanted a replay. Did they give a replay on that? Because
all I know is that Cedric Maxwell was like, not in my house. And I was like, Cedric, no, that's the Celtics player.
You weren't going to hear that from Scal.
Right. No.
But did they just swap? Was Scal on the radio?
No,
Scal was on the national broadcast.
No, he was there.
Oh, okay.
Wait, this game was a national game?
This was a NBC Peacock game, I believe.
Wow, I didn't even know.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
that's
horrible. The Scal broadcast.
Scal
was Peacock.
Yeah, Scal was with somebody that I didn't recognize.
So Jalen sat out of a national game.
I don't know if they count the Peacock.
It's not like a true national game.
Yeah.
No.
Kind of like an NBA TV one back in the day. But yeah, I mean, technically, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how any of that stuff works. Player of the month, resting star players, all the above.
Right.
I do want to hear the Scal national broadcast though. That must have been fun.
I was back and forth. He was.
Oh, you watched out of it?
Yeah. I just turned it on.
Who was he paired with?
I honestly didn't look into it. I was just.
Sorry, that's kind of like a niche question. Like, who was the player?
I know. I know that they had Robbie Hummel on the bench, who's a Indiana guy.
Was he checking in with Joe?
I didn't see anything checked in with Joe. No, he was just kind of chiming in from time to time. So that was that. But what else, guys? What do you guys, anything you're hot on after this? You get 2 straight. I said this to Bobby, 2 straight losses now. Obviously no Jalen tonight, so we have to put an asterisk next to this one, but 2 straight games without 100 points. Are you starting to wonder if some of these players are offensively anyways coming back down to earth a little bit? Are you worried that Boston isn't going to be able to scrounge up enough offense on nights where they don't have a full roster? They were able to sort of, I said to Bobby, I think a month ago, they win this game, or, earlier on in the season, if Brown misses a game or if White misses a game, I thought they'd look like this every single time, but this is really the first time where they have, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I agree. Like, I think in theory, the concept of the roster that they had tonight, you would think this is not a roster that should have an automatic advantage over a Pacers roster that includes, Pascal Siakam and Andrew Nembhard and TJ McConnell and like multiple players that were critical to the Pacers finals run last year. So as much as the Pacers are the worst team in the East and the Celtics have been one of the best teams, like it certainly didn't feel like when these two teams rolled out today that there was a massive disparity in talent between the two. And part of it is that the best player on the floor was probably Pascal Siakam. And so that's always an advantage to have the best player out there. And also they are getting healthier. They've won 3 in a row now after losing 13 straight. So a lot of times it is about like timing of when you see these teams. Like the Pacers of 2 weeks ago, probably this is a much easier win, but they're finding a little bit of a groove and a little bit of swag for themselves as well. I'm never going to say I'm starting to worry, but I will say this, that outside of them starting the year 0-3, they really haven't had a bad stretch of basketball this season. Like it's been pretty consistent and they've been playing good basketball and they haven't hit like a slump, and that's inevitable in an 82 game season. We've already seen some teams hit that. I think the Thunder kind of hit their slump a couple weeks back where they go like 6-6 and that makes national headlines, right? But this could be the Celtics, the beginning of like a tough stretch here where, guys are tired, right? It's been a lot of basketball in a condensed amount of time after an easier period of time with the NBA Cup, and there's injuries and, people are starting to kind of nurse things. Like it is possible that they're going to go through a little bit of a stretch here. And Joe always says that every year you go through a stretch like that. And it's like, how do you respond to it? How do you mitigate the damage? I'm not certain like that's what this is, but I did have a couple moments in this game where I was like, they could be starting a little bit of a tougher stretch. And like January is a normal time for that to happen since it hasn't yet. But it'll all be about, like I always say this, it'll all be about how they respond to this loss over the next couple of games. Like if they go out here and, beat Miami and beat Atlanta, like I don't really look at this too much, but this was supposed to be the easiest game of the trip.
I guess one of my other concerns is that, back-to-back losses, clearly there are issues offensively with this team, and after both losses, Noah, the captain of this team makes, headlines because he's complaining about the officiating. And then the next game, the coach of this team talks about officiating. Are they letting this get to them a little bit too much here? I mean, at some point, do you have to look in the mirror a little bit? Bobby?
I don't know. My thing with I don't really care about them complaining to us because, in my opinion, I hate that when players just have to give us like the trademark, we got to execute down the stretch. We got to be better. Like in theory, all we want is for them to be honest. So if they're frustrated and all that, like I want that to be voiced. If I feel like it's interfering with like the game action and their preparation and the way they're responding to things in the moment, then it becomes a problem. But the reason I don't really care is because I don't feel like Jalen's beef with the officiating has really impacted him beyond maybe that Nuggets game where I did feel like he was kind of trying to prove a point by how much he was driving.
And he didn't even play tonight.
Yeah, and he didn't play tonight. I don't think there's anybody on the roster today that was doing anything to kind of instigate that.
Ugo was pissed.
Say again?
I'm just kidding. I was like, Ugo's pissed.
Yeah, right. It's like he doesn't care. So I actually think, if anything, Joe really is one of the coaches that complains about the officiating the least. And so I don't mind seeing that from him. I would have loved for him to articulate like what exactly he was frustrated about, but he's not going to do that. So I don't mind, because it's not like this is a normal Joe talking point that he crashes out with the officiating every game. He really doesn't do that. The only question is, and this is kind of what I was about to say, does this benefit you or does this hurt you in the long term? Making a federal case. We've seen instances of both, right? Being unlikable with officials can hurt you, but also I think Jalen successfully started a media campaign where a bunch of reporters went back and looked at the clips and made compilations, and that does put a little pressure if you can kind of have this national conversation around the officiating. So I see both sides, and I really don't know if it's going to help or hurt.
Yeah, I think I'm interested now with that national TV angle too here, him missing the game. I don't know if there's anything to that, but I don't know. It could be at play there a little bit internally. I don't know how much it actually impacts you on the floor. They won the free throw battle in this one 9-6. Again, no calls in this game at all in either direction.
9-6 is crazy.
It wasn't much of a factor in this one. This was poor Celtics shooting, not forcing enough turnovers. They lose that battle. The offensive rebounding, they win, but Pacers right there with the shot totals and shoot more threes too here. And, you know, a bunch of guys got going for them. Jay Huff was ridiculous in this one. It's a player I've always liked. He was just physically
always
overmatching them. Yeah, he played against Virginia against Syracuse a bunch.
Okay.
I do remember you bringing him up when they signed him.
Loved him in Memphis too. All he does is shoot threes and reverse dunk. He has such a wacky game. It's like the two things he does. But anyway.
Well, we want to remind everybody right now, before we get into anything else, that tonight's show and all our shows are brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks. Of course, it's basketball season here always at the Garden Report, but it's kind of hard to talk about Prize Picks right now and not talk about football season, playoff football in general. In fact, there's a game going on right now, Houston versus who is it? Houston versus Pittsburgh. And I don't even know what the score is, but I know it was 7-6 going into the fourth. So, you know, if I bet you if you had some Prize Picks action, you'd be a lot more in tune on this one. And that's the fun part about Prize Picks. This keeps you a little bit more engaged in this game. There's a new feature at Prize Picks as well. Early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Again, you use the code CLNS. You get play $5 and get $50 instantly. Again, that's the code CLNS. Get $5 instantly. That's available in all 50 states. So wherever you're watching us in America right now, guess what? You can play. They put their users first. All withdrawals are fast and secure. They accept most major payment methods, making deposits into your account quick and easy this sports season. Patriots will be playing on Sunday. Amit tells me it's looking like it's going to be Houston. So you might have Patriots, Texans. The Texans are coming to New England. They came to New England last year, and they won that game. That was actually Drake May's first career NFL game. So maybe he's out for a little bit of revenge in that one, but that should be fun. Definitely keep Prize Picks in your back pocket for that one and all the other ones. Download Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And it's good to be Bobby Manning always. Guys, who do they have next?
Miami. And guess what, Jimmy? I don't know where it is.
Don't tell me Bucket Hat Bobby's going to Miami. All white.
Here somewhere.
Yeah.
Damn, I really thought you had it on your desk the way you turned.
Yeah, how do you not have it?
I was waiting for it.
I thought it was right beneath me, actually. I thought I had it here. It's nearby.
And Jimmy doesn't have the tin cap. This is the worst.
No,
ever.
I didn't think tonight was. I mean, maybe
we're our hats, Jimmy. We're the hat guys.
I didn't think it was a tinfoil night, to be honest, but maybe I should have.
It was.
That's how Joe felt. I'm gonna have to start making merch, tinfoil merch, I think.
Yeah, Bucket Hat will be out. Celtics do practice on Wednesday, so they'll have some time to sort some of the stuff out after the 2 losses. They got 2 off days coming up here, so I'll be in
Thursday,
Miami on Thursday, and Atlanta on Saturday.
No, are you going too?
I'll be on the rest of the trip minus this game, which I can't tell if this was a good game to miss or if I wish I had been there for that. I guess it was probably a good game to miss.
Depends. Did you want to hear Joe tell you
Like that might have
Was
been
it
me,
legal
you know?
screen?
That might have been me asking
Yeah.
a question and
Could
getting
have
back
been
to the
you.
illegal screen.
I
I would have been like,
I wonder if he would have
"Okay."
responded that way to you.
What was an actual like?
I think
Noah,
so.
since we didn't get to watch it, like what was an example of one of the questions that Abby asked?
Like
Do you remember?
what went wrong down like in the down the stretch, or like what the last couple plays she asked. That was the first thing she asked, because about take us through the last. Yeah, that's what it was. She said take us through the last couple plays, and he just said illegal screen, and then she tried a couple, and then she asked like a
Maybe
couple
that is
more.
an
Like
answer to that question.
it's
Yeah,
true.
that was it.
She should
She
hire
asked a
you as
couple
his
fol-
lawyer.
Yeah, right. She asked a couple extras, and that
then-
was the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then outside of that, she was kind of like, "Is there anything else you want to say? Like, is there anything else you're willing to share?" And he was like, "Illegal screen."
That's always a good question.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
tough when
a
you're.
classic end of a one-on-one. You know,
I
this
mean,
time
it's
the
tough.
one-on-one was her and Joe. I have to imagine the Globe was there. The Globe's at every game.
I don't know. Didn't look like it from Twitter, but who knows?
Yeah, but
I will say I
Yeah,
love
maybe they're
Indy.
trying
Love
trying to pick and
love
choose
my
too.
cafe. I gotta give a shout out to that cafe if I can find the name.
Which cafe?
Love the one with the great brunch, the unlimited coffee. I can't think of the name. They got the croissant
Oh,
French
great
toast.
shout out! Great shout out! Forgot the name.
I'm gonna pull it
That's gonna
up.
do-
I'm gonna-
Sales are gonna
business will be
skyrocket
booming.
now.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, you know what
I'm
else
gonna
we could
find
talk
it.
about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bobby.
I'm gonna find it. But yeah, outside of the cafe and maybe getting a laugh out of that Joe moment, I was okay missing this game. Cafe Paddock
Yeah,
Chow.
let's be
Shout out
honest.
to them.
You'll be okay. Cafe what?
Cafe Paddock Chow.
Paddock
Actually,
One
do
of
Chow.
my
think I know
favorite
that
road
place.
spots in the entire
Miami?
NBA. In Indy.
Oh, in Indy. Sorry, I missed that part. I thought we were talking about Miami still.
Oh, I'll be in Miami.
You weren't a big Indy fan, if I recall, though, Bob.
No,
Let's keep it
All-Star.
I
real
love
here.
Indy.
Tough setting for All-Star. I don't think you were at that one, Noah, were you?
No,
That was
I
brutal.
probably
Me
wouldn't
and
have
Joe
liked it
Sway
if I
were
was there
there.
for All-Star.
Oh my God, we were falling on
That's
our
what it
ass
was.
from
It was
ice. 7
Bad
inches
setup,
of
yeah,
snow.
that's what it was.
Yeah, it was brutal for All-Star. But I didn't mind the East Final setting. The crowd was great. It's obviously where they went to the finals from. The games there were outstanding. I like the arena. It's not the worst city, not even close in the league, but I'm also not dying to go. I hope Pacers fans don't get mad at this.
No, they'll be okay.
No, because we
Noah,
love the Pacers, you know.
what did you, Bobby? We talked about it briefly, but what did you think of Walsh tonight? Minutes
Okay,
are
that's what I
ticking
was
back
gonna
up.
say. I was gonna
I
bring
was
him up, and I said
encouraged.
I
So
thought
we
this was
just-
the best Jordan's looked
Go
in
ahead.
a couple of weeks, for sure.
Why is that?
He just had. So here's the thing with Jordan. It's like he just sometimes has this pep in his step where he's just quick to the ball. He provides this burst of energy, and he plays that like energy guy role that he's there to play. And for a couple of weeks there, to me, it's not a lack of like desire or effort, but it just looked like he lost it a little bit. Whether it was a confidence or whether it was like he got sick and that actually slowed him down for a bit. I don't know what it is, but tonight I felt like whenever he was out there on the floor, and there's a reason why they closed with him, like he did provide that burst of energy. He grabs 9 rebounds in his 25 minutes. He had a great steal down the stretch and then gets the kind of tap pass out to Peyton Pritchard, that big 3 that he hit. So he had some big plays in this game. I really liked the way he approached this one, and the fact that Joe ended up running him for that 25-minute stint, like that's a pretty good indication that he liked what he saw as well. I thought this was the best Jordan Walsh performance we've gotten in a decent, maybe since the Clippers game. Best of 2026.
Okay, so
Yeah,
with
the
that
new year.
being said,
The Clippers
you're pre-
Clippers game was in 2026 too.
So with that being said, Walsh must be your favorite now to crack the starting lineup next.
Oh yeah,
Is that what the betting numbers would
probably
say?
honestly. Unless they
He
actually,
should.
I keep viewing Sam as like a short-term solution to the starting lineup
I don't get the
question.
Sam thing.
But maybe
What
Joe
don't you
actually
get?
wants them there.
I don't want to get on Sam, but I just feel like he's not playing that well this year. Like I know he's rebounding and defending. You know, Joe keeps praising the defense, and yes, he is defending well. But his job is ultimately to just nail shots, and he hasn't done that this year for whatever reason. I just look at Walsh right now, and he's been the X factor to this team all year, and it just kills me. Here's the crux of my debate with this game, Jimmy, and going forward the rest of this week. Like, are you trying to establish something this year, or are you just trying to experiment with everything, throw different things around, try stuff out? If one thing works, you're on to the next. You like your main guys, you like your Hausers, so, when in doubt, lean on them. But if a young guy starts to establish himself and it slips, you're sending a message and moving on to the next guy. Then I still don't get with the Walsh thing. I agree with everything you said there, Noah. That he didn't have the pep in the step. He wasn't impacting the game the same way. But he didn't even get a chance to lose that job. He got pulled at halftime of the game. He was sick, missed the next game. Then all of a sudden he was behind Ugo and Garza and everybody, it felt like. And I just don't understand the drastic. He was good enough to start for 20 games. You believed in him enough to start for that amount of time. And not that start bench is the end of the world, but they went from start central player in this whole thing to buried, not coming in until there's 1 minute left in the first and maybe having a rotation or two. I don't was there something behind the scenes? Was there, too many plays where he just wasn't doing things that you have to do here? I don't get, other than just tough love or treating a young guy, with the highest standards and trying to challenge him, why you would have a guy be that important to your success this year and then almost entirely remove him from the dynamic over what I don't know exactly here. It's been frustrating me for a little while now, especially when you see the flashes tonight, Noah. I actually do think there's a world where if he did that in a starting role over an extended stretch in this game, that they could have won. I actually do think it was that big of a difference in this game. He was awesome in the second half, I thought.
Yeah, I know there is a method to the madness, like there has to be. And like we've said, it's hard to critique Joe when they are overachieving and he is getting the most out of this lineup, out of this roster, and he is finding the right combinations and lineups. But I would love to know what the conversations are behind closed doors that the coaching staff is having when it comes to making these decisions, and what exactly it was about Josh and exactly it was about Jordan, and why it has felt so dramatic where it's like, this is the guy, and then it's not the guy anymore, and then this is the guy, and then he's not the guy anymore. And I don't really know. Like with Luka, I feel like it made more sense because there was a clear deficit. Like they were not defending well when him and Anthony were on the floor. And I think the Celtics changed things up schematically. Those guys got a few more weeks to adjust to this new system, and now they're both defending better. And so I understood that one more, but this, the perimeter roulette of these guys, I don't really understand it. And
this is the debate we've had all year. Is it a strength?
We're never going to get a
no
vote on
rotation?
it. So it's go
ahead. Is it strength?
I don't know. I think we're still trying to figure it out. Is it a strength that you have no rotation? It was for a while.
That's called spin zone. That's some crazy spin is what I would say. I think the most successful teams probably have a rotation, wouldn't you say? They have their guys.
The most successful do, but could it be a strength for this particular team? I think we've seen it be a strength at times.
I think they need to do that. I think that's a necessity for them, is they need to rotate those last few guys in, because I think it does keep the competitive juices flowing for them. I think they need to bring it out of each other. I think there needs to be some in-team competition there for those guys. And I think Mazzulla has definitely drawn it out of them with his coaching style. And I think maybe some of these guys did need that tough love or that extra motivation. I don't want to sound like a homer, but I do feel like there is something about that Celtics organization. I don't know if it has to do with just walking down those halls, or if it has to do with the way that they, the training staff puts these guys on a specific schedule, or maybe living outside of Boston is just that boring where all you can do is just really focus on basketball. But it does feel like there's been a lot of players that have been able to come here and sort of right some wrongs, fine tune some things about their game, really focus and go on to bigger and better things, or, kind of flourish here in Boston. So I'm not sure if that's what's happening to a couple of these guys. I think, of course, it takes a certain type of mindset as well, and a certain type of a player to adapt to that style of coaching and of, I guess, dedication to the game. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's what we're seeing here. Now, at the same time, I think talent is talent at the end of the day, and it might just be capped. So I do understand why they are kind of rotating through some of these guys. They're young players. They're inexperienced. There's, a lot of questions around them, but there's also a lot of promise around some of these guys. So they want to try to tap into that. But the consistency just isn't there, whether that's whether you want to say that's just Joe rifling through guys too much, or whether you want to say he has no choice because, he sees it before we see it. Right. And so that's why I think we're seeing this constant sort of shuffling of that spot there and of, who's going to be a DNP-CD and who isn't. I think it's necessary for this team, but I'm not sure it's a strength, if that's what, you'd call it.
Yeah, I guess it's just a personal point of frustration of mine because I love what Walsh brought to them so much. In this game, I mean, you do win the offensive rebounding battle. Walsh can create turnovers. That's a strength of his, and I think he's probably been the best at it out of anyone this year. He had 3 steals in this game, so a few more minutes to get even more from him. He ended up playing 26 in the end, so I'm not killing Joe for the usage overall in this one. I think it's just the way this whole saga has gone, his move to the bench, and him being diminished in a handful of these games. Tonight, I'm okay with it. And I will say too, Noah, you don't feel great about his 3 right now. The couple he took in this game didn't look amazing. And I feel like we've seen in a couple games lately that teams aren't guarding him, which is always a problem. Right. So that's where Hauser does have the advantage over him that I'll hand Joe here. But I don't know. It's a balance with all this stuff. And I'd like to see Walsh start the next game, as I felt about this one. I thought it was almost a no-brainer here tonight. I understand the Shireman thinking, but
with the rule of whoever played best gets the starting spot, Jordan got that spot tonight, so we'll see him against
Baylor?
Miami. I think Jordan was the best wing tonight, I think he'll start. That's been a pretty reliable rule of thumb for us so far this season, of whichever wing closed as well, that person gets the opportunity the next game. The one thing is Ugo had a nice stretch there of a couple of games amid the Jordan Walsh starts, which I don't want to forget about, because remember, it was Ugo mania for a couple of days of this guy played the entire second half and was awesome, and Jay Tatum's crashing his post-game press conference and stuff. And so there was a moment where we were saying Ugo's going to supplant Jordan, it feels like, at some point, or at least that was posed, right? And now we haven't quite seen as much of a consistent run from him either. So yeah, it's weird. It's hard. It's weird to. Another thing is I wonder if any of them are on the trading block ahead of we're 3 weeks away from February 5th. That's the midseason trade deadline. It does feel like there is a luxury of players that do similar things on that spot, and they're all young and they're all promising. And if there is a trade in the works, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them's in it. As much as I don't want any of them traded, I like them all, but it feels inevitable that they're not all here long term. Especially if Tatum's going to come back this season. I mean, then there's really no minutes for those guys. So
what do you think they're looking at in terms of trades?
I have no idea. So I don't want to say I know how the aggregation world works. I don't even want to speak about anything specific. I don't know. But wouldn't you think that it's a possibility that there would be some interest in a guy like Jordan or a guy like Baylor or Ugo? All these guys are young and promising. I know they're all different and they have a different skill set. Jimmy, it's going to be okay.
I think
says it all.
I think you see them differently than 30 other or 29. 30
you don't think any NBA team would take them alongside something else?
I'm not saying that they wouldn't take them if you shove them in at them. Okay. Sure, but
I'm not saying that there's a huge.
I wouldn't say that there's a big. Yeah, exactly. I don't think that.
But I'm saying that it's possible that in a trade that includes Anthony Simons or something else, or they're trying to get Zubac or what Right. These rumors that Chris Mannix was floating some names around bigs, there has to be a return, and maybe one of those guys is in the mix. Again, I'm not saying it's
it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, and I think we're thinking of the same players here. Obviously Ugo has some value as a rookie. I think Simons has value as an expiring and a guy that can score, and that kind of leads me to my next point that I wanted to talk about that we haven't really mentioned. On a night where you didn't have Jaylen Brown and you definitely needed points, I think I'm playing Simons 30 plus minutes. I mean, it wasn't like defense was an issue tonight for the team. Clearly,
yeah, I felt that way
points.
Too.
I think you needed offense in this game. I mean, they're starting Shireman. They're getting Walsh back in the lineup. These guys are all playing, but they all have one thing in common: none of them can score.
So I'll say this:
Simons
Jimmy
can score, and he's averaged 30 plus minutes a season in Portland, no problem. On a night where your best scorer is out, that seems like a layup opportunity to just give Simon some run. And he ended up with 24 minutes tonight. I want to see that 30 plus, just like Pritchard and White are getting 30 plus tonight. Like I don't understand that one. And maybe you guys can, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm ringing the bell for more Simons on a night where if Brown's out, if Pritchard's out, if White is out, they have to find ways to score. And Simons is a walking bucket. We saw him hit a couple of pretty 3-pointers tonight. Just got to find a way to get him out there more if you're Missoula.
I'll say this, Noah, because I've been calling for a little bit more of the 3-guard lineup at times this year, especially lately. I thought they got to it on that West Coast road trip, and it looked good. White, Pritchard, Simons is a -3 in 92 minutes this year. 118 defensive rating, 119. It hasn't been great. I don't think we've seen enough of it to rule it out, though. And I thought this was a game you're going against a relatively smaller Pacers team. I know they got a big front court, but
get creative.
I thought this was a good spot.
You don't have your best player.
In theory, I like that lineup a lot. You have spacing, you have ball handlers. You're giving up size, obviously, so that's the biggest question. I really did think Payton was in a good groove, and he's one of those players that, like we've talked about, he's maybe the player on the roster, maybe him and Simons that sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't offensively. So I did want him out there in that fourth. Even at the beginning of the fourth, I was like, just have him play the whole fourth quarter. Like, he really kind of got them in the third. But I agree with you that it feels like that trio is a possibility, especially because Derrick's never going to not play in important moments. He just does too much for them across the board. So it feels like if it's always a battle between Anthony and Payton for those minutes, like, you probably aren't seeing as much Anthony as you could, especially on a night like tonight. I thought the same thing, that especially with the way his first half looked, that you would have gotten more out of him in the second. What do you have, 14 in the first half?
Yeah, and with Jalen out, you need to make a guy like that more central to what you're doing. I thought there was a case. When was the last home game? Who'd they play last at home? San Antonio?
Mm-hmm.
Or Denver? One of the last home games. I forget. They had a guy out, Hauser, and that was the Denver game, right? And I want to see. I don't know. I'm confusing these games. There was one of the games where I thought they should have actually looked at starting Simons and seeing what that looked like. It was, I'm trying to remember which game that was. It was one of the last.
You guys think it's funny? They're putting every guy into the starting lineup except the guy that's starting.
It's like Payton last year. Payton never started last year except for the Portland game because it was his homecoming.
But
regardless
never
of who
started.
Was out. I know. Oh no, I'm not saying that as a defense. It's just feels like it's just a thing that Joe wants Anthony to come off the bench and give them that spark. Like, he likes him in that role. He wants him to get used to that role. The other guys feel more interchangeable to me, where he can have Baylor come in and just do this, because sometimes Baylor doesn't even play, right? So it's like he's not used to a specific groove. I don't necessarily
guard
agree.
Off the bench.
Yeah, he likes to have that spark plug guy that can come in and get a bucket and do so against the opposing team's bench. I mean, we've seen that now for almost every year.
I put that one up, Jimmy, already. You don't have to hammer home the point.
I get one support comment a game. I gotta hammer it.
Wait, you got a compliment? What did it say?
Go put it back Jimmy on. Was right.
He agreed. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, and by the way, Derrick, this is a good point too. That that fourth spot isn't a guard spot.
Jimmy loves. If anybody has any more thoughts, put Jimmy in your comment, and we'll post it.
Yeah. That's the new super chat. Just say Jimmy.
It's the new super. It's the free.
I want to obviously. This is a fair point too. I mean, you can't just shove any guy in there just because he used to be a starter. It has to make sense, in terms of the positions that you're playing. But Bobby, thank you, common sense. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that Simons has to start on a night like tonight. I mean, I think he could have, but just I want to see more playing time. Again, this was a situation where they needed points, they needed offense, they needed ways to go on runs. They had some scoring droughts in this one, and nobody can score, like that the way Simons can. We've seen it happen. So if that's probably my main criticism tonight, it's that they should have found a way to get Simons more burn. And I hope that in the future, when White sits or when Brown sits, that, Simon should be playing 30 plus, especially White being a guard. Simon should definitely be playing 30 plus minutes. I know how things gets a little bit different when Brown's out trying to plug and play there, but from what you're getting from the other positions right now, I'm willing to take the risk and just play your best players. Sometimes you just play your best guys. and you just let them play basketball and figure it out. That's my analysis. Noah, me and Bobby are going to hash out what the Red Sox aren't doing, and we're going to probably talk football for a minute. Do you want to hang out or do you want to dip out?
I'm out.
No football thoughts?
I watched some of the game. I watched spurts of the game. I was happy for you guys. Go Patriots. I hear they might play on Sunday. Or they are playing on Sunday. See, you don't want me for this. It's been
Looks
real.
like it's going to be Houston on Sunday.
They're going to play Sunday. No, I think I was on a delay. But yeah, Patriots, Texans on Sunday.
And I hear the Red Sox lost the key player.
We got to talk about that too, Jimmy.
It's a touchy subject. Yeah. So Noah's going to dip out. Noah, thank you. Unless you want to hang out and talk Sox, you're totally welcome to.
I'm going to start recording my podcasts, but thank you.
Yes. I was going to say, do you want to plug anything for the fine folks who are still tuning into us?
You Got Boston podcast. We'll have an episode. This is going to be hard. I've been doing positive takeaways. Sometimes I'm like,
Oof.
Not.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
guess we can talk Jordan. Well, I'll come up with something.
Yes.
That's great promo. Jordan. That's great promo for my podcast.
Yikes.
Really we'll talk about
tune in to find out what I ended up talking about.
Exactly. She'll find something, and then we'll hear from Noah, and we'll see Noah Thursday in Miami. All white. You guys going all white for like Miami Vice, or how are we doing it here?
Do you want bucket hat, Noah?
I'm okay, but thank you.
Oh. Ooh,
wow.
Okay. Hey,
that was the most polite way to say it.
Not everyone can pull it off.
Bobby didn't like how I behaved about his hat in New Orleans, so I'm actually very on top of how I'm going to behave in Miami.
Okay.
Very good. We'll be the judge of that.
The hat saved our show that day. I remember that.
Bobby going to show
up. Hats around too. Like, I don't know where all my hats are. Clean my room and now they're missing.
Well, you got that. You got the hair's looking good right now, so you don't really need the hats. You got that. You got
no, but the bucket hat will be out. So will the sunscreen. Got this ready to go.
Oh, he's got the 50. Very smart. Yep. You probably need 500 to be honest, but 50 have to do.
Should I draw another 0?
I got a 50 also. Responsible.
All right, Noah. Thanks for joining in.
See you guys.
Catch Noah on You Got Boston, and on Thursday after the Celtics Heat game, we will see her then. Bobby. Where do you want to start? Let's start with let's do Sox. I'm gonna plug Patriots at the end of the show. We've got some great content coming up. Actually, I'll plug that right now because I want everyone to know how amazing our Patriots coverage is. Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel. If you're following us right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching our main channel. Thank you. We have sub channels: Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox, Patriots that are unbelievable content night and day. And right now, I'm not just saying this because I'm on CLNS and I'm CLNS diehard, but it is the best Patriots content in, I'll say, the world. Certainly New England. We'll go beyond that. Unbelievable video content, podcast content. The guys were live immediately from the game last night. Yours truly, actually, Bobby, jumped on with John.
I watched that section. People
jumped on with John.
People were a little defense of your appearance.
Thank you, John. Yeah. So for those wondering why I was on last night, I think I know ball enough to shoot the shit for a little bit. My job on that show is to just keep the seat warm so that the big dogs can get set up and so that they can eat. You know what I mean? We want to go live right when the game ends. Me and John just doing our thing, talking about the game, some things that stood out to us, what we liked, what we didn't like, setting up for Bedard, setting up for Taylor, setting up for Cadlick. They can't get on the field immediately when the game ends. It's a big to do. It's a big thing, setting up, and some of those guys go in their locker room. So we'll start the show off immediately. Bedard comes down, sets up, and we get all of Bedard's amazing football brain takes. And then, Taylor and Cadlick come on and they finish things off with John, and John runs the whole thing. It's honestly a really good show, so I would highly recommend it. Watch it on Sunday. We do, we've got everybody covered: pregame, postgame, the whole 9 yards. And then today was a full day of coverage, Patriots Monday. So it's a fun time to be a Patriots fan. I think that they've certainly exceeded a lot of people's expectations to begin the year. Obviously, those expectations change, and it's nice that they got their first playoff win. That May got his first win, and it's good that the defense showed out in that one. So it'll be interesting to see how the game plan changes a bit with Houston coming to Gillette here. Houston's got an unbelievable defense, a strong defensive line. There's going to be a lot of pressure on May. The one thing I'll say about last night's – did you watch last night's game, Bobby?
I did. I was impressed with the defense, the poise of them, keeping them in it through what wasn't a great offensive showing by any means. I love the burst and the play specifically that got them the touchdown. That was one of the best throws of the year, I felt like.
Yeah, no, that was an awesome
So,
throw to Henry for the touchdown there. And I thought May,
May had his moment.
May was able to be a dual threat, on the with his legs too. Some good runs there to sort of balance out some things. But I thought the turnovers are a red flag for me, because Houston's gonna do something. They're gonna be pressuring you. They're gonna be all over you, and you just can't make those silly. You got to know when to tuck it and just take the sack, or you got to know when to throw it away early on.
His next step as a player, right? Ball control.
So they'll be going over the film. We're going to work on that, and hopefully that's something that they'll be cognizant of in that game, because that Houston defense scares me. I mean, they basically shut down Pittsburgh tonight in Pittsburgh. Not to say that Pittsburgh offense is anything to write home about, but it's tough going on the road. It's tough winning in Pittsburgh, and to play the way they did tonight. I didn't watch the game.
Were you more scared of Rodgers or CJ though?
I'm more scared of the Texans as a team. As far as the quarterback play goes, neither one of those quarterbacks, I would say, scare me. Rodgers is at the tail end of his career. And Stroud, after a really promising rookie year, kind of took a step back. So neither of those guys really scare me. I think it's Houston's defense that I really have my antennas up, and that's going to be the real test.
Especially if you played like that offensively.
The Patriots O-line
game or LA.
Patriots O-line was probably the worst thing about their performance Sunday night. So they're going to have their work cut out for them on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So that's going to be a fun game. It's going to be interesting. And just to circle back, we will have you guys covered from start to finish in that game. So hopefully it's not the last one.
Yeah, and you're setting up
fun to keep this thing going as long as they can.
I think you did what you wanted to this season for the most part, though I would say it'd be disappointing still to lose this game.
Here you go.
Even though Houston is
scored 14 points tonight. Look at that.
Yeah, no, they're impressive.
They're
tough. It's not a team that if you lost to, you'd be like, well, how'd you lose to that team? Especially depending on how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you want to win at home. I think you want to keep the season going. You looked like the best.
You do want to win at home. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be devastated if they lose, depending on how it plays out. You do want to see the strides from May in this spot. You do want to see him end on a positive note, even if he loses. But it feels like this is a good opportunity for them where if they can get through this game, which is certainly winnable, and let's say it's Buffalo at home in the AFC title game, it's a toss-up game. You have every chance to win that one. And that's a great spot for this team to be in right now. I don't know if they're a championship team, but they're going to be in all these games the rest of the way, however long they go. So it's an awesome season. They had to win that first round game. I mean, that would have been a horrible disappointment if they blew that one. And it was in doubt for a lot of it, right?
No.
They did not play. Yeah, it was like 6-3
I didn't think it was
forever.
in doubt. I actually thought the Pats
forever.
It was, but I kind of felt I never felt like the Pats were going to lose the game, even though it was as close as it was. I felt like they made a couple of mistakes. It was, I wasn't doing victory laps at halftime, but I felt like they were a little. I could tell that they were the more complete team in that game. So I think that they were favored to win that game for a reason. I think they should have been. They did what they needed to do. The defense was the bright spot, which is not what we've been saying, throughout the season. So if you get the defense up to par with the offense of this team, then yeah, they could go.
We'll see what happens with Gonzalez. That's a tough one to have here up in the air.
You got to have Gonzalez because he was basically able to just shut down, one side of the field. I mean, Herbert didn't even look his way. And so that just allows you to do so much more as a team. So we'll be obviously, keep it locked on to CLNS, Patriots Press Pass, Taylor and Kadlick, and
And
Amit.
man, can I get my Red Sox word in? What a joke.
We're gonna get the Red Sox word in, but I will say Amit's double duty tonight, doing Patriot shows, doing Celtics shows, and he'll be at Gillette on Sunday too, making sure that every plug is in there and every camera is focused the way it needs to be, and we're getting content. So that's our Patriots. Shout out to the boys. Keep doing their thing, and yeah, Bobby, we will we'll circle over to the Red Sox now, which I don't think we'll be talking about playoffs.
We would be doing a show if they had done something to this point. Like we were doing our Red Sox shows against the Yankees in the playoffs there, and I was covering them down the stretch, if everybody remembers. And
sure,
there was hope, there was optimism, and you felt like
they were drawing up a lot of interest from the city. I mean, I always can just tell if I'm getting texts from friends, that's like my barometer, and years would go by without anyone really giving an F about the Red Sox. This year was different. This past season was different. But then instead of capitalizing on that and, seeing what they have and what they can build around, they do literally nothing in free agency. With the most recent, non-signing being Bregman, a guy that they brought in, a guy that they basically said, we're going to stick with this guy, and they traded away.
And listen,
what's his name?
Devers.
Yeah.
And if you're in a
now they have neither.
Yeah, and if you're in a normal circumstance, you look at losing Bregman, who wasn't good down the stretch, right? He did not make any impact on that Yankee series. Had a rough final quarter, even half of the season, was banged up. Perfect fielder. Loved his defense, loved his leadership. But there was a case to let him go. But they don't get the benefit of the doubt because they're not using that money elsewhere. As you said, you already let Devers go in part to let him play third base. I guess Meyer's going to play there. I mean, Meyer didn't impress me in the little we saw of him last year. I'll give him every chance to make strides as a young player here, but that's not a surefire thing by any means. And now you look at it again here. I like Gray, third starter, maybe fourth. He's in that range more than he is second. Who's the first baseman they went out and got from St. Louis too? Contreras.
Yeah. Yep.
So I've heard he's solid. I don't know what's
going
on.
Really great locker room guy. Consistent player, and I think he's going to be great for for the team. But to your point,
Durant's still here. We were all ready to see him go.
Where's the meat of this order coming from?
Yeah. Where's your number 2 starter? Where's
your bat? Where's your middle of the lineup?
You can't hit home runs.
I don't know what it is.
I guess they're just hoping Anthony's going to save them.
But Anthony can't save an entire team. You put a couple of guys around him, and you have a World Series contender. I can't. They drew me in a little bit last year, Bobby. I've been highly critical of this ownership group ever. Since basically the Betts fiasco, and they're getting worse somehow. Just when you think they couldn't, they get worse.
Now you have questions about whether they'll be in the playoffs or not because they barely made it, and they weren't good enough to close out the Yankees. I felt like they should have won that series after the way they pitched and played in Game 1, but you didn't have the second or third starters in those spots. You're starting a rookie in the third game.
You've got a Cy Young level pitcher on your team. You've got an MVP level young bat on your team. And, you've got some pieces around those players, but this is baseball. You don't have to be like Brad Stevens and sacrifice 2 years to get under a cap and avoid a tax that hinders your ability to get better down the. It's freaking baseball. You just have the most money.
It's a disgrace.
And you spend it. And John Henry has millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. He's got multiple pro franchises. He's selling one. So he's going to have even more money. And he can't spend, Bobby.
They spend on Liverpool.
Not $100 million, not $10 million, not $1 million, not $100, not $1, not even 1 penny.
Are they the only team left that hasn't signed anyone?
We're the only team left. They've
Wow.
spent as much money as me and you have on this Red Sox organization in free agency. And this is a team that is top 5 in like revenue, ticket
And I
sales.
spent a lot of money on the press dinner. That's gonna go toward
I'm sure it's
something.
$10 every game, right? Yeah, where's that money going? So to me, it's unbelievable. There's no excuse for it. I'm waiting for any of these front office guys to show themselves, take some accountability. Try to.
They came out a week or two ago and were like, "We're
more.
not done. We know there's work to do."
Yeah.
That whole thing.
And then they go into hiding, and then nothing happens. And there's one player left, right? Bo Bichette. They're not going to spend $200 million on Bo Bichette.
I know. All of a sudden, Bo Bichette's coming. Yeah, that's not happening.
It's not going to happen. So we're going to go into the year having.
And I'm so sick of the cycle, Jimmy. How many times have they done it now over a couple of years? The tweets that flow out after Bregman leaves or whoever leaves, they were close. They went to like 4 years or whatever. It happened with Ohtani. It happened with
they really thought they were going to do it.
Yeah, they made X offer. You always hear about the offer after. And I think in this scenario, it was they went 5 years, but didn't quite get there dollar-wise. There were a lot of deferrals.
165 or something instead of 175.
And a lot of deferrals. So
they apparently called Chicago's, or they called the bluff, or they
called Arizona's bluff already, and I guess now they call it Chicago's. And guess what? He's probably going to be awesome for Chicago.
Sure. I mean, it's a great place to play. It's a great organization. It's that, I mean, it feels like Chicago gets, they got Lester, they get Bregman. I mean, Chicago is we used to be Chicago. Boston used to make the signings, get the players, win the games. And again, there's just no excuse for it. It's sad. It's pathetic. It's frustrating. It's all of those things. And the only reason it wasn't more of a story is because it happened on a Saturday in the middle of, playoff football, and people are kind of in Patriots mode right now. But the Red Sox time will come. John Henry's time will come. The criticism will come. Patriots season eventually will end. Whether it's a Super Bowl or not, when it does, there's going to be all eyes. I'm not going to say all eyes because we got the Celtics, we got the Bruins, but a lot of people like to give the Red Sox their moment to criticize. And I think there's going to be a lot of people lining up to do it this year. And I'm very interested to see what the front office. It
just frustrates me.
What Kennedy has to say and lie about, and what John Henry has to say and lie about. And it's just.
What frustrates me is we're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff into the year. Like, this guy's not doing enough, or the manager. We always have a little manager conversation every season. I love Cora. I think he's done a great job. But it's the roster construction. It's the holes they leave and try to have young players and fill in guys make up for. I mean, they still don't have a second baseman going back to Pedroia.
Sure.
I don't know who's at that spot at the moment.
They've got some great defensive players out in the outfield, but are these guys really good enough to get you over the top? Are they consistent?
No, and weren't they going to trade one? They have one too many.
Yeah. Yeah, with Yoshida, Rafaela. Who's the right fielder there? Abreu?
Abreu, yep.
I think Abreu can be good, but they platoon all these guys. You're not getting consistency, like everything's about the baseball is obviously about the numbers and the stats and the.
Right now, it's Rafaela, Duran, and Abreu, and you got to figure out where you put Anthony. Is Anthony DH, and then all of a sudden Yoshida's not playing at all again, and
right.
I don't know. Like Cassis.
Maybe they're not done in that sense, but you're
going to play Contreras at first. Cassis, where is he going to be at that point? Like there's too much going on here, and then you need a pitcher, right? So. I don't know. They're going to do more, obviously, here, but is it going to be more trades where the other side's eating money and it's an okay? Like, I love Sonny Gray 10 years ago. I just don't know what that does now at 36.
It's not even typically what they usually don't even go for the older pitcher. Well, they don't want to give
a good deal
pitchers after. Yeah, exactly. It might be a good deal, but there's good deals on players that are historically hurt, right?
I wanted Alonso.
They get a discount. They run the risk of a re-injury. They're on a short-term deal. Where are the Pete Alonso deals? Where are the Bregman deals? Where's
Schwarber? Schwarber went and hit like 300 home runs in Philly since
you had Schwarber. You literally had Schwarber. You let him go, and he just continued to just moonball it.
Uvalde, he went out there in Texas and won another ring, and we killed it. Like, these are the guys they've let go cheaping out and just not wanting to invest in them have gone on and paid out, been worth those contracts. And what kills me is, yes, you sign Trevor Story, you sign Yoshida, you sign these other guys to try to fill those gaps, and those end up being worse deals. I don't want to knock Story too much. He was nice last year. I thought he was solid, but there were 2-3 years there where he was doing nothing. Yoshida disappeared for half a season and hasn't been great. Like, they've signed other guys for maybe a little cheaper, maybe got good bargain value on it or whatever. Now we're talking about a couple guys from Japan again
that haven't worked out. They've let guys go that they shouldn't have, or they've traded guys they shouldn't have. They haven't acquired anything good in some of these trades.
That's it.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about the guys that they've traded away, like this.
That's
for example, Devers, for example, combined nothing in those trades in terms of talent back, right? I mean, you could make the case that those trades hurt you with the players. Like, the players actually helped you lose more games than if you hadn't acquired them at all, the way I see it. That trade, the pitcher that you mentioned, obviously is a good one there. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do next to it? Are you just trying to win enough games to fill the seats so that you can charge these astronomical prices and all this stuff? Or are you trying to actually win a championship like you used to? These guys used to care about that, and it just changed at some point. So we'll see. Anyways, that's we had to vent about that, Bobby, because that was hanging over my head.
It's tough. You're hoping there'll be a year that comes along here that you can get excited about, and it just hasn't happened.
No. It hasn't happened. We're still excited about the Celtics. So Bobby's heading out to sunnier weather, warmer climate. You lucky dog.
I'm thrilled, man. I feel like we haven't had a warm day here since, like, when?
No. I wish you had leave
October?
Dude, I'd on the flight tonight. I would have just been heading there.
I'm on 7 a.m. on Wednesday. First thing, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I like that. Get a full day Wednesday down there. I like that.
They got a practice down there, too, at the University of Miami, which is the college I almost went to. Ended up going to Syracuse, obviously.
Really?
But I took a long look at the University of Miami.
I think that would have been tough for me to leave Miami and go to Syracuse, I think.
Yeah, I got a lot of love for Miami.
Miami's got a lot going on. National championship game coming up here. So
is it? When is it? Monday?
It's next week, yeah. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of build-up hype down there about them, especially if they're practicing at the U, you're saying?
Yeah, on Wednesday. So I'll be there for that. I'll be there for the game on Thursday. And, Miami's interesting, right? They didn't put up a ton of resistance against the Celtics last time, but Khalil Ware had a huge game. Bam's always tough. Hero missed that one, if I remember correctly. So I believe he's back at this point and playing. And, Spoelstra and them are always going to scheme something up. I don't have too much fear of that team anymore. I don't think anyone does. And they've been super inconsistent offensively, guys in and out of their lineup too. They're trying to do their own Celtics thing. They're, changing lineups and all that and trying to figure things out. But they've played fast. They've played tough. I remember they outshot the Celtics by 1 million in that last game too, because they just played such high pace. So I'll be interested to see how it goes, and I'll be thrilled to be in the weather down there. Let me pull up the weather real quick, Jimmy, for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's see. I'm guessing 80.
Yeah. You know what, Bobby? It's not the greatest content watching you pull up the weather in Miami as we all sit here in Boston freezing our asses off. So we're going to leave it on that note. How about that?
Bobby, no, rain.
Rain? Oh, you don't deserve that, man. It's going to change. It's Florida.
Yeah.
Thunderstorm comes in, comes out. It's still Florida, man. You'll be fine. We're not going to cry any tears for you. All right, so that's it. Bobby will be in Florida, Miami Thursday, along with Noah. We will have you guys all covered here live. In the meantime, check out our Celtics CLNS page for some extra content over there. Check out Patriots Press Pass for all the great Patriots content. Hey, we got Bruins are going strong too. Our guy Evan Marinovsky sat down for dinner with us last week, Bobby. It was good to have him at
That was great. That was a great event all around.
Time. Shout
Thanks
out
to
Brico.
Nick, John, all of them putting that together.
Treated us right. That was a fun night, and we're trying to get Evan. We're trying to lock.
What'd you get for dinner?
I had a 12-ounce fillet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just stuck with. I went round and round on like something funky, but I was like, you know what? It's Italian steakhouse.
It was tough to pick one.
Not trying to reinvent the wheel here. What'd you go with?
I went with a ravioli, which was amazing.
Yeah, you look like that checks out. That checks out.
Hey, there were a lot of appetizers too.
That one did sound good. That was like a pumpkin or a squash ravioli or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded pretty good actually.
And then the desserts were amazing.
Wine was flowing, desserts were flowing. Everyone was having a good time. Shout out CLNS. Thank you, Nick Gelso, for having us. And George was there, behind the scenes. George, Guy was there.
Rich.
Noah even showed up. That was fun. Richie behind the camera. So Richie and Amit were there. Those guys are the ones behind the cameras, guys. So big shout out to those guys for keep feeding us with all this great content. And then Taylor, obviously, Taylor and his girlfriend were there. So I think that was everybody. It was good. Oh, and Bailey. Shout out Bailey.
Oh,
we met Bailey for the first time. Producer Bailey does a lot of work for us on the Garden Report and behind the scenes. So anyways, that's the crew.
And John.
Yeah, we can mention John. John's there too. He's great. So cool. All right. Well, that's it for us. We've gone on long enough. Hour 36. We had to mix in some Patriots and some Red Sox content.
This is a wah kind of game.
Yeah, Celtics Pacers aren't going to get you an hour and a half alone. So we had to mix that in there. But shout out Prize Picks last but not least. Again, with Prize Picks, let me just put this up here so we can get one more plug for them. Download Prize Picks and use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineups. Again, that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Signing off, Celtics dropped this one. 2 straight losses now. 2 straight games below 100 points. Bobby's not hitting the panic button yet, but I know he's thinking about starting to reach for it. So we'll see how things go Thursday and see if they can right the ship. My name is Jimmy Toscano for Bobby Manning. Oh, shoot, I got to find the outro. I don't think Amit's around, dude. I got to find the outro. Give me a second. Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Here it is. All right. For me and for Bobby, deuces.